Each baseball game is but a spoke in the wheel of a long season. Perfect day to take your bike to the ballpark as the Mets wrap up their series against the Brewers at Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today the Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez will join me in a moment. Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner a little later on as the Mets wrap up their three-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee has taken the first two handily on Friday night and seemingly handily for most of the game yesterday. Milwaukee was up 7-1 going to the seventh inning. Chris Capuano had himself a rough day. Ryan Braun got the Brewers off to a fast start with a 2-1 homer in the first. And then maybe the hardest hit ball we've seen all year. Prince Fielder, a three-run shot. Udieski bent court for good measure, made it 7-1, and the Brewers were on fire. Well, yeah, sort of. Anyway, the Mets began their comeback. Angel Pagan had a big hand and a great catch. Lucas Duda, a pinch-hit double that drove in a run. And the Mets came back against Frankie Rodriguez, their old pal, with 3 in the 8th inning. Ball that should have been caught by Jerry Hairston, fell for a double for Tolley. And then Pagan with a 2-run bomb into the Pepsi porch to put the Mets up 9-7, and there were plenty of good feelings at Citi Field. They didn't last. Jason Isringhausen had maybe his worst outing of the year, 3 walks and a hit, and then little flare to the right side by Casey McGee drove in the go-ahead runs, and the Brewers came back to win it 11-9. A crazy day at Citi Field. A lot of good for the Mets, but in the end, they lost the game.
Well, you know, the team has pluck and continues to come from behind. They don't quit, and they're really a very disheartening loss. Izzy, I thought, had his worst outing of the year, giving up the 4 runs. Didn't get anybody out, 3 walks and 1 base hit. Acosta kind of unfortunately got a bleeder there that beat the Mets. But no, when a team's red hot like the Brewers, they win games like that. They beat up on the guys down below. And as a result of this outing, I think Terry Collins came out today and said, you know, with the Mets so far back now, out of the wild card, no chance. Parnell is going to be the closer.
Well, the Brewers have now won 21 of their last 24. They've opened up an 8.5-game lead in the National League Central, and today it's up to R.A. Dickey to try and cool them off.
Well, R.A. had a nice outing last time out in San Diego, if you recall, was throwing 6 strong innings, gave up the home run, and it was lifted and wound up with a no decision. He's really been kind of a hard luck pitcher here. He's 1-1 a lifetime against the Brewers. He's on a 3-game losing streak. It shouldn't be a 3-game losing streak. He's trying to break that streak and get back on the win column.
And the Brewers' young ace, Giovanni Gallardo, who got beat up by the Mets in Milwaukee, will try and get even.
Well, they beat him up pretty badly that last outing. It was 4 innings pitched. He gave up 10 hits and 4 earned runs. So they are always been a little tough on him. He's 1-2 lifetime, but he is their ace. He does give up a lot of base hits. He's given up a lot of home runs, but he is their ace. He's going for his 14th win.
Mets will try to avoid the sweep this afternoon at Citi Field. Beautiful day for a ball game. Come on back. All the action today right here on Pix 11. By Dunkin' Donuts. To get dunked, go to getdunked.com. By the Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Summer Clearance Event. These offers won't last long. Hurry into your local dealers today. By HP, everybody on. By the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 mpg at ChevyOffers.com. And by Bank of America. Kids go free to Citi Field with the purchase of a regularly priced ticket. Up to 3 children 12 and under will get free admission to games through Thursday, September 1st. Get to Mets.com/kidsfree for tickets and details. The Mets and the Brewers getting set here at Citi Field. Fans on their way in. You come on in too. First pitch is coming up from Citi Field. Now at the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, brought to you by Suzuki Automotive. Let's check out the Brewers starting lineup, brought to you by Mazda. Zoom, zoom. Prince Fielder, look at that, against the Mets this year. In 5 games, he's 9 for 18, 4 homers and 12 RBIs. Might be time to start pitching around him. The Brewers can do no wrong right now. 21 wins in their last 24 games. And Dickey, who's had 4 straight quality starts without a single win to show for it, will get the start this afternoon.
And as we said, Gary, a 3-game losing streak. And boy, look at that T-shirt.
Well, it's nice for that Reyes was able to make his way out to shortstop, if only in T-shirt form. Jose did do quite a bit of running today before the game. We watched him sprint from home to first several times. He will start turning the bases tomorrow, so he is getting that much closer to coming back.
And we'll take a look at the defense, brought to you by Bank of America. And you can see Pridey out in right field, his 37th start of the season. He was kind of the forgotten man there for a long time. And now he's getting lots of playing time of late.
6 starts now in the last 9 games. Keys to the game brought to you by Cadillac. Visit Cadillac.com to find a dealer near you.
Well, let me think here. Do you think you want to contain that 3 and 4 hitters of the Brewers? I think so. That might be something you want to put in the back of your head before you go out there and pitch this club. And stay hot in August. They're hitting 377 this month of August. Okay, great. And the bullpen has been in an August slump. So teams that usually kind of hit a wall, Gary, one day they have offense and don't get the pitching, and the next day they have pitching and don't get the offense.
Well, it's worth noting that with their loss yesterday, the Mets have now lost 14 of their last 19 games. You'll recall they began the season 5-13.
Well, now they've had a stretch even worse, 5-14, and it's undone a lot of the good that was done earlier in the year. The Mets have slipped 5 games under 500, and you got a lot of baseball left to play in this season. And what was a really feel-good story for this ball club for a long, long time has a chance of going the other way. You got 37 games to play, and 5 games under 500 could become 10 and 15, and you know that Terry Collins is looking to avoid that.
You can tell the team has become a bit demoralized, I think, for the first time. And, you haven't got Ike Davis over at first base. Reyes is not in the lineup. Murph was hitting number 2 in the league, and, not to make excuses, but there's a lot of guys in here right now filling in this ball club. It's reflective of the lineup. Go.
All right, Dickey set to go. Corey Hart leading off, and the first pitch of the afternoon is a floater in for a strike. Hart is 2 for 10 in this series, filling in as the leadoff hitter with Ricky Weeks out. They hope to have Weeks back early in September. As Hart lifts one out to right field, and Pridey has a play. 1 out. So one right fielder flies out to the other. And Dickey has the first out of the afternoon. Now Nyjer Morgan. Morgan 2 for 4 in this series. Came off the bench yesterday and drew a walk in that climactic 9th inning. And Jason Isringhausen couldn't find the strike zone. And it really is a measure of just how completely is he melted down in that 9th inning that he walked Morgan. It was only the 8th time Morgan has walked this year. He's had 270 official at bats, and the slow knuckleball, 0-2. In fact, Morgan has reached base via being hit by a pitch this year more often than he's reached on a walk. How unusual is that? The last major leaguer to go through a 250 at bat season with more hit by pitch than walks, Ryan Domit 6 years ago with the Pirates. 14 hit by pitch, 11 walks.
That's a very interesting note there, Garrett. It doesn't happen too often.
No, it doesn't. And it just shows you how impatient Mr. Morgan is as he goes down swinging. You know what they call that in comedy?
What? Tell me.
Timing.
No. A little knuckleball that didn't knuckle. That is just right there on a tee. Too much spin, as you can see. But swung right through.
So Dickey's retired the first 2, and now Ryan Braun. Braun homered in the first inning off Chris Capuano yesterday to get the Brewers started after being ejected from the game on Friday night, arguing a 3rd inning strikeout call. Braun hitting a .327 for the year, 2nd in the National League, 9 points behind Reyes, who continues to hold the National League lead in batting. In order for Reyes to qualify for the batting title, he has to get 40 more plate appearances this year. It's sharply. Tejada with a nice stop. Gets to his feet. And the throw picked out by Duda. Beautifully done on both ends as Tejada makes a sparkler go into his left. Takes a base hit away from Ryan Braun and gets Dickey through a 1-2-3 opening inning. Tejada flashing leather. No score at Citi Field. Does zoom zoom. Angel Pagan red hot. 3 more hits yesterday, including the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. Lucas Duda, who didn't get the start yesterday, back in the lineup today for the Mets.
And on the mound, the ace of this starting rotation, Giovanni Gallardo, 13 wins, as we've stated. 1-1 in the month of August thus far in 21 innings pitched, with a 2.57 earned run average. And we'll take a look at the defense, brought to you by Bank of America, and that would be the Brewer defense. And how about that? Fielder playing in every game, not only playing, but starting in every game. So he is an Iron Man, that's for sure.
Here's Pagan, 6 for 9 in this series, and he takes a strike. And it's been a complete turnaround for Pagan in August. After a dreadful July in which he hit just 194, he's hitting 377 in August. And Keith, you can really see a palpable difference in what he's trying to do right now.
Well, he's keeping that front shoulder in from the left side. He's not pulling off as much. And using the whole field, but you got a little bit pull happy, and you can see the numbers and the wonderful August that he's having.
Yeah, an infield dribbler, a single to center, and then that 2-run homer off K-Rod in the game yesterday. 2 balls and a strike to Pagan. Justin Turner on deck, and then David Wright for the Mets in the opening inning.
And that's the big curveball from Gallardo. He's got a nice curve, one of his many weapons.
Just 25 years old, trying today for his 50th career win as Pagan lifts one toward the gap in left center. That's going to sail to the warning track and hop up against the wall. Pagan pulls in at second base, and he just keeps on raking an opposite field double to get the Mets started.
Well, as we said, he's been using the opposite field. This is a ball. It's outside. He's been pulling off and rolling over to second base. Now he is taking it into the gap. And the results are there.
The Angels now reached base in 17 straight games. He's 7 for 10 in this series with 4 extra base hits. And now Justin Turner. Turner has hit a skid, just 3 for his last 26 at 261 for the year, and going after a lot of first pitches recently.
I think Justin's been a little bit dinged up. He's one of those hard-nosed type players. He gets hit a lot when he's up at the plate, hit by pitch. He gets banged up. He has a hard time getting away on that pivot at second base and double plays. He hangs in there. He's taken some shots this year.
You know, it really struck me watching in the 9th inning yesterday when Manny Acosta came on. He got Ryan Braun out on a short fly, and then Prince Fielder hit one almost off the ground that went for the game-tying hit. It's a ball that Turner probably gets to a couple of months ago, but because he's been so banged up, it's really cut down on his range, and the ball went off his glove and into right field.
Well, he's not taking good hacks here. He's just kind of flailing at the ball, which we haven't seen all year. That pitch away, Gary. We all know he loves that ball away, particularly the breaking ball goes the other way well. And they're defending him on the right side of the infield properly.
It's a spot where he needs to go the other way with Pagan at second and nobody out.
Good.
Here's that hit by Fielder yesterday. No,
well,
this is the McGee hit, and that just stuck through. But the one before it, the Fielder hit, I think Turner probably has a pretty good chance of getting to if he's not dealing with the physical issues that he's dealing with his hip and his leg. Taken low, and it's 3-2 to Turner.
Gallardo's motion, not to change the subject, Gare, but he reminds me a lot of Ron Darling, that beautiful, easy motion, upright. Reminds me a lot of Ronnie's delivery.
It's very elegant.
Well, I thought, yeah, well, he's going from the stretch here, but still, everything more so from the windup. Oh, 3 straight fastballs right by him.
So Turner is down on strikes for the first out. And looks back to ask Ed Hickox if it was in the strike zone.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, he's had the thumb injury as well, and you wonder whether that's hampering his swing.
Ronnie always had that glove hand come up, and there's not a whole lot of wasted motion even from his windup. His windup reminds me, more so than his stretch, reminds me of Ronnie.
Here's David Wright, 0 for 7 in this series. Just 4 hits in his last 31 at bats. And with Wright at the plate and the Brewers playing him to pull on the infield, the second baseman Jerry Hairston right near the bag and keeping Pagan from getting any kind of lead.
Oh, I guess the Betancourt is going to be going in to get some glasses. It's a day game. You should always go out with glasses. Even when it's overcast here, there's a potential for rain. There's some clouds. That sun can peek out at the wrong time. You just always play it safe.
Never hurts to have them.
That's what they're there for.
And he's got the flip down.
I like the flip down.
Yeah, me too.
I couldn't wait when I was a kid to put on flip downs. You know, you saw the major leaguers playing with them.
They were the coolest thing.
I could not wait to get them on.
Wright lays off the breaking ball, and it's 1-1. David had a great beginning when he came off the disabled list. Very hot road trip, but has cooled down significantly over the last 3 weeks. Lucas Duda on deck. And that fastball misses. 2 balls and a strike. You see the numbers recently for David. He has a home run against Gallardo, 2 for 11 lifetime. Mets banged Gallardo around pretty good when they faced him in Milwaukee back in June. 10 hits and 4 runs in 4 innings.
Didn't get the call there. Those 10 hits that he gave up in Milwaukee in that start, they weren't cheap. He really got rocked.
For a long time, the Mets couldn't touch him at all, but the last 2 times they faced him, they have had a lot of success. And Gallardo throws a fastball and got the knees, 3-2.
This has been a crew that calls the borderline knee-high strike. Thought that ball was low. But as long as they're consistent.
And Hickok's the home plate umpire today. 3-2 to Wright with 1 out. And the breaking ball got him. So Gallardo strikes out Wright. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gallardo after the leadoff double.
Well, he's got a vicious yellow hammer. That's off the table. It's not a strike, but that's a tough pitch to lay off. He's got such a good curve. There you see the grip, hands inside, the tumble of the ball.
So 2 out. Pagan still nailed at second. There's your umpiring crew for today's game. Ed Rapuano, the crew chief. Angel Campos at the plate Friday night. Alfonso Marquez yesterday. And Hickox this afternoon. So now Duda bats with 2 out and a runner at second. Lucas 1 for 6 in this series. The hit was a crucial one in the Mets' comeback yesterday, a 2-run pinch double.
They're pitching Duda inside. You know, he missed right there. You saw the catcher set up in. They don't want to let Duda extend his hands. He's very strong.
Drove one to left center field in yesterday's game.
See if he tries to bounce up a curveball in the dirt here and see if Duda goes after it.
Check swing foul.
A good up and in 0-2 pitch right there. That sends a nice message to the hitter.
So Lucroy, the catcher, nodding after that pitch.
Very happy with that location. Now they can do anything they want. They can double up or go away.
Pagan runs and Duda bounces it foul.
He just barely got a piece of that curveball. Why he's running with 2 outs and particularly with 2 strikes. Has As a hitter, I never liked someone trying to steal third base when I had 2 strikes on me. If you're going to do it, go ahead and do it early. Give me a chance to get a sacrifice fly there. I know there's 2 outs right now, but it's so unusual. You're already in scoring position.
You talk about not wanting the runner to go. Is that because you're distracted by his motion in terms of picking up the ball?
Well, yes, you can't help. You're focused on the pitcher. I mean, you're able to, but you can see in the background, you can see the move, and that could throw you off.
Make a difference if it's a lefty or a right-hand pitcher.
I've seen a lot of guys almost getting fights over it.
Really?
Yes. Not if I'm exaggerating. There's the curve in the dirt. But hitter getting really hot at someone, say, don't ever do that again.
3 straight strikeouts for Gallardo after the leadoff double. No score after 1. Brought to you by Audi, truth in engineering. All right, Dickey retired the side in order in the first inning. He'll take on Prince Fielder leading off in the second.
And you said it, Gary. That home run he hit yesterday was a rocket.
I don't think we've seen a harder hit ball all year than the one Fielder hit into the Pepsi porch yesterday.
It was a fastball meant to be inside on Fielder and got the inner half, and I think Fielder was looking in because he just turned on it.
His 28th home run, 4th in the league. And Dickey misses high. Here it is.
Just didn't get it in enough and down, and boy, oh boy.
And that poor guy who tried to catch the ball, that thing would have taken his hand off. Good thing he missed it.
I'm surprised the back of that chair wasn't a hole in it. An armored piercing shell.
You know, the more you watch Prince Fielder, at least for me, the more you're impressed by him, not just as a power hitter, but as a hitter.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. You don't see enough of the guys anymore, these 3 divisions. It really drives me nuts.
And the very slow knuckleball fouled back. I mean, the base hit that he got against Acosta in the 9th inning yesterday, that thing almost hit the ground. And he was able to hit the ball hard enough to get it through.
Well, games played leading since 2007. That says it all right there. And you'd think of a guy with his build that he might need some rest. But this is the first time, Gary, we only see him twice a year where I've seen Fielder really in a groove. And there's the RBI right there. It's Ryan Howard's the only one ahead of him.
They're tied now.
They're tied.
Yeah.
Is that Fielder's a tough strikeout.
Yep.
For a power hitter.
More walks than strikeouts this year. And he gets a piece of that knuckleball. Well, Fielder's 27 years old. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And if you're a team looking to sign him, do you take into consideration his body type, or do you look at his body of work and say, well, here's a guy who's been able to stay healthy, stay strong, play every day? It's an interesting question.
How about him in Cincinnati? You got Votto, though. Now, how about him in Philadelphia? But you got Howard.
Well, we started to talk about that the other night. The fact is that almost all the teams that have the capital to pay for a guy like Fielder already have a quality first baseman.
Right.
So where's he going to go?
Oh, there'll be a spot for him somewhere.
I'm sure there will. But I'm saying, I mean, the Yankees aren't going to bid for him. The Red Sox aren't bidding for him.
The Yankees are very happy with Teixeira.
Red Sox have Gonzalez. The Phillies have Ryan Howard.
How about Baltimore? That's a bandbox. So there you go. I mean,
most home runs, all first basemen on that list over the last 5 years. He was doing an excellent job fouling away some tough knuckleballs to keep the at-bat alive. I heard some speculation on the Fox broadcast yesterday that Washington might be a landing point for Fielder. Swing and a miss. He got him with a fastball. After all those knuckleballs, Dickey gets Fielder. And he goes away with a bemused grin.
Well, this is a good at bat. And tell me that isn't a power stroke right there. That's not a lift. He's looking to just take it out of the ballpark. It's almost got a golf follow through. That's a good at bat. You go down swinging like that and have at bats like that, you're going to come out on the top side more times than in the bottom.
Here's Casey McGee, who's 4 for 8 in this series with 4 RBIs. He had the game-winning hit in yesterday's game with that seeing eye single against Acosta in the ninth. Ball and a strike to McGee, whose season began miserably, but he's been picking it up lately, hitting .313 in August. And a fastball strike, 1-2. Hard to believe this on a team with Braun and Fielder, but McGee was the Brewers MVP last year.
They acquired him from the Chicago Cubs.
He had himself a career year last season, and he's had that Angel Pagan kind of year this year. Guy who'd been around a long time, finally broke through last year, and has come down to earth a little bit.
He's a big, strong kid, and not a great runner. He has to hit. He's in that third base position. He's got to hit and be productive.
Did that guy catch the ball? It was an amazing grab. Two and two to McGee with Yuniesky Betancourt on deck. McGee fouls it off.
Interesting note here, Gary, that this is the 100th major league start for R.A. Dickey. And since 1947, I guess the only pitcher older at the time of his 100th career start was Masato Yoshii. We remember him, don't we? Yoshi.
The very slow knuckler is grounded to short. And Tejada with the overhand toss to get McGee. Well, you kind of put an asterisk next to Yoshi because he had a full career in Japan before.
Right.
Before Yoshi, the last pitcher older than Dickey to make his 100th start, you got to go back to 1946. Ed Huser was 37 years old at the time of his 100th start.
I wonder if Ralph hit off him.
Find out when Ralph joins us later. Here's Betancourt, who hit a 2-run homer in yesterday's game, his 10th of the year. Hitting at .261 for the season. And he takes a strike. Now, the career record is not pretty, but last year, gaining command of his knuckleball. He made his mark at age 35. Backhand play for Tejada to make, and the perfect throw gets Betancourt, and Dickey has retired the first 6. Middle of the second, no score. Dan Uggla 2 home runs yesterday in the Braves' victory over Arizona. He's just been raging hot. Roy Oswalt, after being pulled from his start Friday because of a rain delay, pitched yesterday, 8 scoreless against the Nats, and well, even the Astros made who's hot. They've won 4 in a row. Jose Altuve with his first major league home run yesterday for the Astros. It was an inside the park home run.
Well, Uggla's got, I think, 3 multi-home run games this month. He's raging hot.
Not is Jason Bay leading off in the home second inning. Jason snapped an 0 for 20 with a base hit his first time up yesterday. Part of a 1 for 5 day. His average has slipped below 240. And he skies this one along the right field line. And Corey Hart there to play it.
Oh boy, a little wind.
Awkward grab for the first out.
Interesting.
Did
how
you say little wind?
I said little wind. Yes. So he backed up on that one.
A small misclave.
I was acting like a fan, right?
There's your little wind.
Yes, sir. You know, getting back to Uggla, hitting on the interstate at the All-Star break, under 200, and now what is he? Tied for second in the National League, 1 off the home run lead.
It's amazing. It's just an amazing story that a guy can be that futile for the first half of the year and then be as exceptional as Uggla has been.
And you know what? It's better to have a second half than a first.
Josh Tolley hits it out to center field, and there's Nigel Morgan, 2 out.
So a good second half will make everybody forget about your first half. Quite obviously, the chips are down for the Atlanta right now. He's been a big part of Atlanta, taking good command of that wild card in the National League.
Here's Jason Pridey getting the start in right field today. The Mets have used 6 different starting right fielders since they traded Carlos Beltran. And that's in a 3.5 week span. Little bloop, and in comes Betancourt to grab it. And that retires the side. So Gallardo has himself a 1-2-3 inning after 2 at Citi Field, no score. fiatusa.com to find a studio near you. Mets go to Philadelphia tomorrow night to start a 3-game series. John Deese against Cliff Lee in the series opener tomorrow night. Then the Mets come home to play the Braves over next weekend. And then a 5-game series with the Florida Marlins, starting with a doubleheader on Monday night, the 29th. And Ralph Kiner joins us in the Ralph Kiner broadcast booth.
Okay, Gary, good to be with you again. I'm back in action again, and good day for it. You just escaped that rain away.
Well, the rain is going to be later after the game is over.
That's a promise.
That's the optimistic view. Jerry Hairston Jr. hit by the R.A. Dickey knuckleball to start the 3rd inning. And the Brewers have their first base runner of the day.
One of the favorite people that I've known over the years in baseball has been Bob Bucher, and of course he was a knuckleball catcher. He had the secret to catching the knuckleball. Let it stop rolling and pick it up.
It's worked for Josh Tolley at times this year too.
One of the great guys in the Hall of Fame was a guy named Rick Farrell. And Rick was a knuckleball catcher for the Washington Senators. And they had 4 starting pitchers over knuckleball pitchers. And he still kept his sanity.
What a nightmare. Jonathan Lucroy takes a strike.
Was that any good? That team any good?
The team didn't win either. That made it even worse.
But it got Farrell in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I got him in the Hall of Fame, and he should be. I guess when you can catch 4 knuckleball pitches over and over and over again. And the reason why the knuckleball doesn't break in any similar pattern, it can do anything at any time.
Pagan playing shallow in center field right there to catch Lucroy's drive for the first out. So what's the secret to hitting the knuckleball, Ralph?
I've never found that secret out. I think I tried everything. I tried 42-inch bats, and that's the longest bat you can use in the major leagues. I tried light bats, heavy bats, all kinds of things. And I had a few home runs off knuckleballs. But usually the answer is you hit the home runs off of knuckleball pitches through other pitches, such as Dickey does right here. He throws a fastball a lot, and he gets a lot of home runs hit off the fastball. I talked to Phil Niekro, who was a great knuckleball pitcher and in the Hall of Fame, and he was at the Hall of Fame, and I talked to him about Dickey, and he said he'd like to work with him more. He says, I think I can help him even more. So if I were Dickey, I would sure as heck look him up.
Of course, Phil's brother Joe
Niekro was his brother, and Joe threw a lot of other pitches. He threw sliders, and he also threw fastballs, but the knuckleball wasn't as out-pitched as was Phil Niekro.
I guess that's the difference between a pitcher who throws a knuckleball and a knuckleball pitcher. You know,
certain people have thrown knuckleballs. Kirby Higbee had a racist knuckleball. He threw it harder than Dickey does, and they talk about Dickey's knuckleball being hard. And Higbee threw other pitches. He had a great curve and a great fastball. Would have been a great pitcher if he had, well, let's say, taken better care of himself.
Gallardo on 2 strikes gets the bunt down. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Hairston to second.
It's an interesting note here, Gare, just is that Hairston was Dickey's 9th hit batsman of the season, and that is not the leader. You would not believe who the lead in the league in hit batsman is, and that's Dylan G. Dylan G has 12 hit batsmen.
Of course, a lot of batters are hit by pitch balls on purpose. In the case of a knuckleball pitcher, I'd say it was never on purpose because they have to worry about getting the ball in the strike zone.
There's Dylan. Dylan will be pitching the second game in the series in Philadelphia against the rookie sensation, Vance Worley. For the Phils, it was 8-1 on the year. And Nice will go up against Cliff Lee in the series opener tomorrow.
Hairston at second. Corey Hart up with 2 outs. Hits it toward the hole, and Tejada smothers it to save a run. That's a tremendous play by Tejada. What you got to do with a runner at second base, keep the run from scoring.
And you don't care whether you catch this ball or not. You want to knock it down and keep it in the infield to keep that runner from going from second to home.
So a nice effort by Wright, and thank you very much from your pitcher. Much appreciated.
So it's an infield hit for Corey Hart. Now runners at first and third for Nyjer Morgan. You always got to worry about the bunt from him, even with 2 out. Although is bunting the knuckleball any easier than hitting the knuckleball?
I wouldn't want to bunt it. That would, to me, would make it even more difficult.
I would think it might be easier to bunt because you could stay with the ball better than if you take a full swing. I never, of course, I didn't bunt very often.
And a check swing tapper right back to Dickey. So that takes care of the inning. So Tejada's play saves a run. Brewers get their first hit. Still no score. Against Giovanni Gallardo. Gallardo gave up a double to Angel Pagan leading off the first, then has retired 6 in a row.
He's been a very hot batter of late. Last 5 ball games he's had a base hit, and he's been taking up more than one a game. And he's showing some signs of improving with the bat. And one thing that we, and I'm not talking about Keith and I as ex-players, said he had a long swing, but I think it's shortened up. I think he's shortened it up considerably.
Oh, that's what he needs to do. And since getting called back up, Ralph, that was back on August 8th, he's been hitting at the 375 clip.
It's been right at the second baseman, and Hairston makes the play to retire Tejada.
That was a good shot of a shorter type swing.
Yes.
Right here, of course, look at the swing is a little more to his body and not that far away from his body as he had been in the past. So he had a longer swing.
So when you talk about shortening up your swing, what's the key to trying to do that?
Is to get the bat on the ball from a very close position on your body. You get your hands away from your body, it's a little longer swing. Of course, you get a little more power when you get your hands away from the body.
But Tejada's not, or I don't think ever going to be a power hitter.
No, he has no shot at that. Even with steroids, he couldn't be.
Dickey pops one up. Hairston battling the sun as it comes down. And that's the second out. So Dickey's retired. That's 8 in a row retired by Gallardo. And here is Pagan, who has the only Met hit. Double to left center leading off the first inning. Was stranded there when Gallardo struck out the next 3 batters.
Gone with a very, very slow start this year after a good year last year, a real breakout type year. And now coming very strongly here in the month of August.
And he's got his second hit of the game. So Pagan with his 4th consecutive multiple hit game, and he is aboard with 2 out.
He's got both Met hits.
And he got a chance to be a stolen base contender in this at bat with Turner coming up. Turner has really slacked off a bit from his very good start, especially with the runs batted in. Like he said, he's really been hurting. He's had some black and blue marks. Of course, the Brewers know that Pagan can steal bases.
Interesting to see Pedro Beato throwing in the bullpen early in this game. Probably just trying to get some work in. Beato worked in the game yesterday, though, with an inning and a third.
And anticipating the stolen base attempt right here, which is very obvious. Pitch out.
Pagan has 26 steals this year. He's been caught 6 times. Had a stolen base in the game yesterday. Second time in his career he's had a home run and a stolen base in the same game. Second time this year. 4th time in his career. Those are the kinds of skills that Angel has.
You know, he is, of all the athletes on the New York Mets team, he is the best. He's a faster runner than Reyes. He also does all the tests with high marks.
Well, he got Turner out last at bat, Ralph, with 3 fastballs. Let's see if he goes back to it. And if Turner makes any adjustment.
And another fastball, yeah.
Fastball away. Well, he's just not getting the barrel through. 4th fastball now right by him.
You know, in the early part of the year when he was hitting well, he used to put a recoil in his backswing. In other words, turn the shoulders away from the pitcher and then go forward with the shoulders. He isn't doing that anymore. I'd like to see a recall.
Wow.
So it's almost like winding up with the bat, Ralph? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
well, you know, in every sport, like basketball, for example, they shoot a basketball, there's a recoil and then a forward move. And that recoil sets up your power and gets your weight behind the bat and allows you to hit the ball hard.
Does it take you longer to get through your swing that way, though?
It does take a little longer, but you got to time it, and you have to start it sooner.
Well, he finally got a piece of the fastball.
The one thing about recoiling is that when you recoil and they change speeds and throw it slower, you can just recoil a little bit more and then let it go. And Wright, I don't know what's going on with him because he has gone back to being away from the plate.
Two and two to Turner with 2 out. And Pagan almost got caught leaning the wrong way.
My dad's example, what Ralph was saying about the recoil, was like a train, an old-fashioned steam engine train. How the gears, he said, the train just doesn't go forward. It has to go back first to get going forward.
And your dad was right.
And that's your take back in your swing, in Ralph's terminology, the recoil.
Your dad, of course, was a professional ball player.
Pagan runs. Turner bounces one to short. And Betancourt with a running toss, and fielder picks it out of the dirt. That retires the side. A hit and one left after 3 at Citi Field. Mets and Brewers, no score. What's your story? Citibank can help you write it. Let's look at the sweep of the ballpark. Love that big Pepsi sign out in right field. It's classic, isn't it?
That's the old Pepsi logo, isn't it?
And you'll note under the scoreboard there, if you look out there, no fires today. Not even at Keith's Grill.
Oh, I thought they happened every day. According to the Fox broadcast. Have we been missing something?
Yeah, it was news to the fire department.
Boy, he was spending his spare time.
Ryan Braun leads off and he takes a strike. Well, they said it took 50 firefighters only a few minutes to put out the blaze yesterday, but that thing was really throwing up a lot of smoke from the chop shops across the street. Ryan Braun grounded out to short his first time. A terrific play by Tejada. And Dickey gets ahead of him 0-2.
Here's a ball player right here that no one really knows about, I would guess, outside of Milwaukee. He just goes along and he's one of the real good hitters.
Well, his first year he came up, played 113 games in 07 and hit 34 home runs. He's hit 30 home runs plus 3 of his first 4 years. He's quite a hitter.
150 homers and 500 RBIs in their first 5 seasons. There have not been many to do it. 9 on that list, including Mr. Kiner.
Well, I knew Ralph would be on that list. Everybody forgets about Chuck Klein.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he was the guy that didn't get in the Hall of Fame because he played in a small ballpark. Played in Baker Bowl, a very small right field fence.
That was the Phillies, right?
That was with the Phillies, yes.
Look at that movement on that knuckleball.
Klein, a left-hand batter, and took advantage of the right field wall there, which was a corrugated fence. And that fence would rattle like crazy when you hit a line drive against it.
There's Prince Fielder, and he ropes one down the right field line, just foul.
Oh boy, I tell you what, that might have been fair.
Fielder believes it was. The first base umpire, Ed Rapuano, was out there to make the call.
Oh, good call.
Foul. Good call.
Good call.
No chalk. Ron Roenicke, the first-year manager of the Brewers, who's going to get a lot of consideration for manager of the year. Out to talk about it with Rapuano, but
you know what?
looks like Ed made the right call.
You don't have to, it's foul. That's how I saw it. Get back to the dugout. Let's go. It's getaway day.
Garth Orge, the first base coach, out there as well, having a conversation.
Garth Orge played with Toronto. His brother Dane Orge was a teammate of mine. Dane came up with the Phillies, and we traded for Dane, and he was the backup first baseman to me, Dane, in '82 Cardinals. And here's the call. It's foul. I mean, barely.
Fielder takes one the other way, but right at Jason Bay, and that's the second out. Well, it was awfully close to hitting the chalk. Now, you've got the chalk line itself, and then you have kind of speckles of chalk just to the side of the line. Now, if it hits, one of those stray pieces of chalk, does that count as a fair ball?
You making the rules now? Or what?
I'm asking the question.
It depends on the umpire.
Because the umpires will go by the side of chalk.
Well, if it bounces up, they could interpret that as a fair ball.
Here's Casey McGee with 2 out and nobody on. Now in tennis, they've got the electric eye on the lines. I don't think we're getting to that point anytime soon in baseball, but people keep advocating for more replay. In the air to deep left field. Back goes Bay, looking up near the wall, and it's out of here. Casey McGee with a home run, his 9th of the year, and he puts the Brewers on top 1-0. So Dickey had allowed just 1 hit over the first 3 2/3, and now McGee takes an 0-1 pitch over the wall.
Didn't do anything, did it? Just stayed on a tee.
First run of the game brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 MPG at ChevyOffers.com. So 1-0 Milwaukee, and now Yuniesky Betancourt, who grounded to short his first time up. That's 17 home runs allowed by Dickey this season. And Betancourt floats one out to right. Easy for Pridey, and that retires the side. But the Brewers grab the lead on McGee's home run. 1-0 Milwaukee as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Beautiful day in Bryant Park. Rain holding off.
lot of blue sky up there. I like that.
Ralph, you mentioned something about David that you said you didn't know what he was doing. Tell us. You've been watching.
Well, he's backed off the plate with his back foot. Now, that's the most important foot in hitting.
Line to first, and the fielder right there to grab it.
And, of course, when the ball is outside, which this one was, you have to hit the ball to right field. There is on the outside part of the plate, and he has to go to right field, and the fielder was right there to stop it.
David was set up to go that way. David's been having difficulty again, not so much with the fastball, it's with the breaking ball from the right-hander. Having trouble reaching it.
He can't reach it. There's no way in the world he can reach the breaking ball. The bat doesn't get to the ball. That's you got no chance to hit it.
Lucas Duda takes one in the dirt. Duda struck out his first time up.
When you get close to the plate, it's an invitation for a pitcher to quit throwing outside.
Right.
And more inside.
Exactly.
And that's what he should want, and would be much more beneficial for him if he got the ball inside.
Do you think in general hitters stand further from the plate than they did when you played, Ralph?
Absolutely. They stand away and they have a different way of hitting than that they dive into the ball. And that's because they cannot throw at batters anymore.
Exactly. I mean, you can be fearless up there.
When I was playing baseball, you could throw as many pitches as you want at a hitter, and there was no penalty, and the umpires could do nothing about it. And then when they put the rule in, you could be kicked out of a ball game if you threw at somebody. That's when it changed.
So it's odd because you would think that the fact that pitchers can't throw at hitters would lead hitters to move closer to the plate, not further away. But you're saying it's the opposite, that they start further away but dive in.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
3-2 now to Duda.
Jim Cott told me a story when he faced Frank Robinson, and when Frank Robinson came over,
he was right on top of the plate.
He said that the same philosophy. I want to pitch him inside. He's on top of the plate.
Duda down on strikes for the second time.
And Kitty told me that he just wore him out inside. Now, Jim said I wasn't the hardest thrower in the world. He goes, but he said Frank just kept on just raking me, and I finally just realized that he was on top of the plate looking in, and I better throw him away. Well, then I had more success away with him.
Yeah, when you're away from the plate, standing back in the batter's box, the pitcher has the open invitation to pitch you outside on the outside part of the plate, and you have to do it. And that you can dictate what the pitcher is going to pitch to you by where you stand. This guy is so far from the plate, he can't reach the ball either. Look where he is. That foot should be up about 6 inches closer to the plate, the back foot. And the front foot can be a little more open or allow the hips to get clear so the hands can come through.
I think a lot of it too, Ralph, is guys hit really...
Now he opened up a little bit. That's good. But he's still too far from the plate. It's really an enigma in hitting baseball. But he invites the pitcher to pitch him outside all the time, and the best he can do is hit the ball to right field.
And right field here is a bit of a death valley.
It's not good. And the deep part of right field is 415, and that's a pretty good distance for a center field, right center field area.
2-2 from Gallardo. Just missed away. 3-2 to Bay.
And Gallardo's got a good curveball, so he struck out the side in the first inning, all on curveballs.
Working with a lead for the first time this afternoon, trying to set the Mets down 1-2-3. Three-two to Bay, and he pulls one down to third, and McGee on the backhand. Side retired.
Got a fastball inside, and he was able to get the bat and the ball well then.
4 in the books at Citi Field, 1-0 Milwaukee. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. R.A. Dickey takes the mound for the 5th inning, trailing 1-0. This is a familiar state of affairs for Dickey, who has thrown 4 consecutive quality starts without getting a victory in any one of them. His last outing, he had a 4-1 lead in San Diego, gave up a 2-run homer to Will Venable, came out of the game, and the 1-run lead was dissipated by the bullpen, and he wound up with another no decision. So if he were to pitch a quality start today and not get a victory, he'd have 5 in a row, which would be the first time for a Met to have 5 straight quality starts without a win since Chris Benson in 2005. Jerry Hairston Jr. leads off and takes a fastball for a strike. Hairston was hit by a pitch his first time up. So he's been the hard luck guy on this team this year. 5-11 despite pitching pretty well most of the time. Toward the middle of the diamond, and Hairston's got a base hit. Tejada was playing him way over in the hole, and Hairston got it by him for a leadoff single.
Well, you're going to play probably the hitters more to pull with a knuckleball because it's a slower pitch.
Red Sox playing in Kansas City this afternoon. Calls to mind some stories you were talking about before the game, Ralph, regarding Ted Williams and his propensity for talking about hitting.
Yeah, but I've seen him on airplanes, commercial airlines.
Lucroy deep in the gap, and Pagan can't make this backhand catch. Hairston to third, and Lucroy pulls in at second. Well, Pagan made a similar play in yesterday's game, couldn't come up with it this time. Just off his glove for a 2-base hit.
Well, he gets a glove on it, but just off the, not the heel, off the baby finger and the heel. So overran it.
Yeah, he really didn't get the pocket of the glove on the ball. It was off the heel of the glove. And so runners now at second and third, and again Dickey in trouble here with no one out.
And the Met
pitcher Gallardo, a pretty good hitter, 12 hits this year, including a home run.
Mets bring the infield in. A little twist to it, though. Turner at second base is playing halfway. Everybody else is in.
One and one to Gallardo. Off the plate, 2-1. Hairston at third, Lucroy at second, and nobody out. So Dickey with a deep breath to try and work out of a big jam. And a check swing tapper. The runners will have to hold as Tolley makes the play on Gallardo for the first out.
So a good out right there with the runners still at second and third base. 1 minute out now for the Mets. And now we go to the top of the batting order.
Well, you're not going to run yourself out of an inning here. There's nobody out. You're going to hold the runner at third. You're still in business. The 1 out, second and third.
Now the Mets play the infield back with Corey Hart at the plate. They have the infield in for the pitcher.
Yeah, the pitcher was a pretty good hitter, though. That's the whole thing there.
And Hart pops one up in foul ground. Duda near the short fence has room to make the grab. Hairston fakes down the line as Duda fires home. And that's the second out.
So the runners again holding at their respective positions at second and third. And now a chance to get out of this inning after 2 straight hits. And the second one being a double, the runners going to second and third.
Nigel Morgan, the batter. Morgan has struck out and hit a comebacker.
The runners holding at their different positions. A fake at third base, but he's not going anywhere. He's trying to draw a throw, and maybe he'll throw it away, is the thinking on that one.
Morgan came up with first and third and 2 out of the third inning, and Dickey got him on a check swing comebacker. Falls behind him here 2-0.
And it's not too imperative to worry about a walk here because first base is open.
Yep.
He can stay with the knuckleball.
Only problem is you got Ryan Braun standing on deck.
Yep, and he's eaten up Morgan the first 2 at bats.
And now he's behind him 3-0.
Well, it's kind of it's like playing roulette. Maybe you can gamble and win. Maybe you can't.
Doesn't come up 0-0 very often. Strike 3 and 1.
Only when I play.
How about that? Dickey signaling the catcher what he wants to throw. And the fastball for a strike, 3-2.
One of the great stories, Drysdale was sent home ahead with the Dodgers, and Kopach's pitching had to get rest and pitch the next day. And he didn't go home. He went to Las Vegas, and next day they said, hey, did you see what Kopach did? He said, what? He pitched a no-hitter. He said, did it win?
Morgan down on strikes, flipping the bat away in frustration, and Dickey gets out of a big-time jam in the top of the 5th. Josh Tolley will lead off against Giovanni Gallardo. If you started the story last inning talking about Ted Williams and his propensity for demonstrating hitting.
He would tell you how to hit and show you how to hit anywhere he was at the drop of a hat. And he would do it. I've seen him do it on airplanes. He would stand up in the aisle of a commercial airliner and give a hitting lesson to anyone who would listen to him. And he was one of the great authorities on hitting. He knew more about it than just about anyone I knew, although I was about Hank Greenberg in that spot too. Hank Greenberg was a great student of hitting. What really gets to me is most of the hitting coaches in baseball today are players who never hit well in the major leagues. I never have really understood that. And they have to get the information from someone else to find out how you go about trying to be a better hitter. But you sure could have found out from Ted Williams and also Hank Greenberg, and Greenberg helped me tremendously. And he was the teammate of mine for just 1 year.
And what is it that Greenberg helped you with that somebody who was not an accomplished hitter couldn't have?
He told me one thing that's the most important thing in hitting. That was, if you don't anticipate the ball and it doesn't come where you anticipate it, you take the pitch. And you got to be able to take the pitch and have the guts to stay in until it gets down to 2 strikes, and then you get defensive. And you may try to get the bat in the ball and try to get the ball in play. And don't strike out. And nowadays, the strikeout is prevalent in baseball more so than any time in the history of the game.
Ralph, you also mentioned, and I agree, that if Greenberg was struck out on a certain pitch early in the game, if the game was on the line late,
don't throw the same pitch to him.
Don't go into that well too often.
Well, don't go to you're right, don't go to the well. You just stay dry.
So
he would actually on purpose look bad on balls and set the pitcher up for later on. But that's when the pitchers pitch full games, and nowadays the pitcher might not be in after 100 pitches. So the game has changed considerably. I don't know whether it's for good or better. I'll let you decide.
Tolley hits a hot shot to third and eats up McGee, and Josh is aboard. That's a good time at bat for Josh Tolley. McGee unable to handle this one hopper.
Well, Tolley fought off a lot of pitches this at bat and then got the one to his liking, what Ralph is talking about, which Hank Greenberg told him. George Hendrick, right fielder for Oakland. I played in our 82 Cardinal teams, Gary, Ralph. George would go down on one knee and swing bad, look horrible on a curveball. So I asked George one day, I said, George, why do you feel fooled so badly? Why do you just swing at it and go down on one knee? And he goes, because I want to look as bad as possible because I'm looking for the next pitch.
That was Hank Greenberg personified right there. No question about it. They would set up the pitcher for later on when it counted with men on base.
Now, when you talk about strikeouts, Ralph, and how the strikeout is more prevalent now, clearly striking out was less accepted when you played as part of the game.
If you struck out 100 times in a season, you would go back to the minor league. They would not allow you to strike out that much. And a good example would be Vince DiMaggio, who played for the Pirates. He struck out over 120 some times. He went back to the minor leagues. That was Joe DiMaggio's brother, and of course there was Dominic DiMaggio also. 3 brothers. There was another brother named Paul who they said was a better player than Joe, but I don't believe that in a million years. But it was a nice thing to say.
He stayed home to fish.
Right.
1-2 to Pridey, who hit a little flare to short his first time up. And he goes down on strikes. That's 5 strikeouts for Gallardo. 1 out in the inning.
I like the theory of Dick Stewart. He said he was the most valuable player on the Red Sox when he went to the Red Sox. And I said, "Wow, how can you say that? You struck out so many times." He said, "Yeah, but that way I don't hit into double plays."
Saving the team. I want to go back to what you said about Greenberg and if it's not the pitcher anticipating to let it go by. Do you think hitters guess more now than they did back in your day? Do you think they guess the same amount, but that you guys maybe were better able to adjust?
I think hitters in my day and before my day actually stole more signs and were better prepared and knew more about how many pitches were coming than you find now. I think the players today camouflage their signs much better, and they're very difficult to steal. And I used to be able to get signs from Greenberg when I was on base at first and second. And he would take the signs. Now, a lot of players don't want to take signs. They don't want to take the chance of being hit if the guy guesses wrong or tells them wrong.
Of course, what they have now are computerized tendencies, what a pitcher is expected to throw in a given count in a given situation. And I think they use that a lot more to try and anticipate what's coming.
I think Davy Johnson had the theory. He used to use computers all the time. And then one time he said something up to the computer and said, "What am I going to do?" And they say, "Fire the manager." And he quit using computers after that.
Sounds like one of those magic 8 balls. Throw that thing in the garbage. 1-2 to Tejada, who grounded out his first time up. And a little ground ball to second, might be 2. Hairston to Betancourt and on to first for the 4-6-3 double play to end the inning. The 5th inning brought to you by Ford. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. 1-0 Brewers after 5. In theaters everywhere, September 2nd. All right, Dickey's worked himself out of a couple of jams in this game. Most notably in the last inning, 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. He got the pitcher Gallardo and a dribbler in front of the plate. Corey Hart on a foul pop-up, and then he struck out Nigel Morgan looking to get himself through that inning. The only run coming on a home run by Casey McGee in the 4th. Part of the batting order, Braun, Fielder, and McGee coming up for the Brewers in the 6th. Milwaukee's been winning a lot of these low-scoring, well-pitched games lately. Yesterday, something of an aberration. Their bats came around and they won 11-9.
You know, their road record is very bad compared to their home record. They have the best home record in baseball.
Lately, though, they're winning everywhere.
Everywhere they have been very good, but they still are way under 500 on the road.
Braun leads off the 6th inning with a base hit, so Dickey right back in the soup as he takes on Prince Fielder. Well, that's their record since July the 26th, 21-3, enabling them to open up an 8.5 game lead in the National League Central, which matches the Brewers' largest division lead ever.
And of course, the St. Louis Cardinals are in 2nd place.
Here's Fielder, who struck out and lined to left, 0 for 2. Braun a stolen base threat, and he's running first pitch. Told he'd taken a long time getting rid of it, and Braun steals the base, his 25th of the year.
The secret well hidden in Milwaukee. Braun with a stolen base here. He's good in all departments.
So a runner in scoring position for Fielder, and he takes a big rip at the knuckleball, 1-1. He does not get cheated, does he?
This is really a hard swing.
He's a quintessential power hitter, is he not?
He is that.
But a power hitter hitting over 300. Second in the league in on-base percentage. Second in the league in walks. Those two have been quite a pair. Yesterday, they both homered. The 33rd time since Braun arrived in the majors that they homered in the same game. That one toward the vacated area in the middle of the diamond, and that'll bring home Braun. So Prince Fielder drives in another run, his 13th RBI in 6 games against the Mets this season, and it's 2-0 Milwaukee.
Well, we mentioned the big 3-4 punch in this lineup in our open. Don't let them hurt you, and
Yeah.
that's a knuckleball, too much spin. And just stayed right there, even though he got it on his hands. So one thing I noticed about Fielder, Gary, Ralph, is that he'll take a good big rip for one strike off the knuckleballer. Then he, depending on the situation, once Braun stole the base, he can shorten up a bit. He can get more compact.
Well, he hit that ball right off his fist right there. He got the bat on the ball and got the ball through the infield against the shift.
That's had the whole middle of the infield open against him, and he took advantage. McGee homered for the first Milwaukee run, and this time Dickey starts him off with back-to-back fastballs. Pridey to the line, gets to that foul fly ball, and McGee retired for the first out. We were talking about that before with Dickey, Ralph, about fastballs. They're throwing back-to-back fastballs to McGee. Got away with it in that instance.
He did get away with it. He was a little behind the pitch, and of course he hit it down the right field line. But when you're a knuckleball pitcher, you have to go by your own rules and what works for you, because it's something you can't predict. You just don't know what way the ball is going to go when it comes out of the hand. There's no pattern to a knuckleball. There's always a pattern on the curveball or a slider or the splitter or whatever. It goes in the same direction every time you throw it.
Betancourt hits it out to center field, and Pagan puts it away, 2 out.
The other pitch that was almost undeterminable, and that would be the splitter. And the splitter would break in different ways, and that was similar to a forkball, which is also similar to a knuckleball.
Look at that strike to ball ratio for Dickey today, 3.5 to 1.
Forkball came out with a slow tumble to it on the rotation. That brings to mind Diego Segui, the relief pitcher for the Oakland Athletics back in the 70s, and those big, great teams. The splitter, what made the splitter so effective was that it came in, looked like a fastball, and the bottom would drop out, and the pitcher could throw it with more velocity, and it could change speeds with it. Where the forkball route was more of an off-speed pitch.
Well, the forkball was deeper in your hand, and you had, it came out more like a knuckleball than a splitter.
You see the batting averages against Dickey's fastball this year significantly higher than against his knuckleball.
Well, it got around the league pretty quickly.
Well,
he snuck up on everybody with it, and the word gets around the league.
Threw a lot of first pitch fastballs for a while there, and then they started looking for it. And he's tried to change the program a little bit, throw the fastball a little deeper in the count.
See, I always feel you can look fastball and be geared fastball and hit a knuckleball, even though it still will be difficult because it's more of an off-speed pitch and you can adjust.
That's slower pitch.
I mean, I wasn't going to let Phil Niekro sneak a fastball by me if he was going to be so kind, because Phil would always, I'm a left-hand hitter, Phil would throw a sinker away. So if he was going to throw me a fastball, I was looking out over the plate, and if he did try to throw me a sinker, a fastball, I was going to I didn't want to hit the knuckleball if he wanted to be so kind. and then adjust to his knuckleball, which you got 99% of the time.
Knuckleball hit out to center field, and Pagan right there waiting for it. So 3 straight fly ball outs after Fielder drives in Braun with the second Milwaukee run. Nice day for a little dip. 2-0 Brewers. Authority for all things sporting good. Tim Hudson and the Braves leading the Diamondbacks, trying to sweep that series. Diamondbacks have lost 4 straight. Still 2.5 up on the Giants, who are leading in Houston 3-0 in the second. Roy Halladay fell behind 2-0, but the Phillies got home runs from Ruiz and Utley to poke their nose in front in Washington. Everything else later on in the National League. The Padres put 14 more runs on the board against the Marlins yesterday. They've become an offensive juggernaut late in the year. All right, Dickey will stay into bat in the bottom of the 6th inning with the Mets down 2-0. Dickey popped up his first time up. Often you would bat for the pitcher in this spot, but A, Dickey has thrown only 75 pitches, and B, the Mets bullpen is just torn up right now. Stroke to the right side and a one-hopper for Hairston, and he throws out Dickey one away. Well, there is the playoff picture right now, and really there's only one race of any closeness, and that is in the National League West, where both the Diamondbacks and Giants have had a rough weekend. Giants losing the first 2 of their series with Houston. After the first 2 after getting shut out back-to-back games Thursday and Friday.
I think this is the first time that the divisional play has had races that have not been close.
Yeah, the wild card in both leagues is kind of a runaway. The only really close races right now are that National League West race and the American League Central race, which has the top 2 teams going head-to-head this weekend. The Indians went into Detroit only a game and a half behind, and the Tigers have taken the first 2 of that series. This afternoon, Detroit scored 7 runs off Ubaldo Jimenez in the third, but Cleveland came right back with 5 in the 4th. So that's 7-5 Detroit in the 4th. If the Tigers win, they go up by 4.5 games in that division. Angel Pagan is 2 for 2. Double to left center, single to right. Continuing his hot streak. He's 8 for 11 in this series. And he has 2 of only 3 hits for the Mets this afternoon off Giovanni Gallardo. Justin Turner on deck. And he gets him on strikes. Gallardo has his 6th of the afternoon. First time he's retired Pagan. Weekdays this fall at 4, Anderson Cooper comes to Pix 11 with a fresh new take on talk. Followed by the all-new Pix 11 News at 5, starting September 12th on Pix 11. Now Justin Turner bats with 2 out and nobody on. Justin has struck out and grounded to short, 0 for 2. Well, the Mets saw Gallardo at his worst in Milwaukee in June. They're seeing him at his best this afternoon. Another chance for Betancourt, and another easy inning for Gallardo as he sets the Mets down 1-2-3. After 6 at Citi Field, still 2-0 Milwaukee. Bottom of the 6th and continues on into the 7th. Trailing 2-0. He's given up 2 runs and 6 hits. Hasn't walked a batter this afternoon. Struck out 4. They'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the Milwaukee batting order in the 7th. Jonathan Lucroy to lead it off. Then the pitcher Gallardo and Corey Hart. That's be going to Philadelphia after the game today. Open up a series with the Phillies tomorrow night. The Brewers have the 2nd best record in the National League, tied with Atlanta, and they right now are talking about gunning for the Phillies and trying to get the best record in the National League. Right now they are 7.5 games behind Philadelphia, so that appears to be a tall order. Nonetheless, it provides them some incentive with that big lead that they're sporting in the National League Central. Ron Renicky, first-year manager, coming over from the Angels, where he was lieutenant for Mike Scioscia, and he is going to get some strong consideration for National League Manager of the Year honors.
The thing about Scioscia, who has become a well-known manager with the Angels, he did his catching for the Dodgers, and did not get signed into the organization after he retired as a catcher, and did take the job as an Angel manager and has done a wonderful job.
Will flare, and in comes Turner to grab it to retire Lucroy for the first out. Of course, when Scioscia first began, I guess Lasorda was still managing with the Dodgers at that point, right?
Yes. Yes, I believe so.
And as long as Tommy was there, there was no opening.
That's true. I never thought of it that way.
One thing about Tommy, he would let you know that there was no opening.
So 1 out. Here's Gallardo, who is 0 for 1 in a sacrifice. By the way, we were talking about the Giants before and how they have struggled lately. Giants 2.5 back in the West, and their troubles got a little deeper today. They put their closer Brian Wilson on the disabled list with an elbow injury. Out to center, and Pagan's got it for the second out. So the woes just keep stacking up for San Francisco. They say Carlos Beltran took some batting practice yesterday, trying to come back from that strain in his hand and wrist, but it's been a real slog for them ever since they acquired Beltran.
And it's hard to repeat, is it not? That's what's been so remarkable about the Phillies. And if you look at it, if you're going to repeat, you're going to you're going to be world champions back to back. It's not easy. Even the Phillies, as stacked as they are, haven't been able to do it. They've won their division now, 4 years in a row, which is quite an accomplishment.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's a lot harder to repeat as champions than it used to be now that you have to go through 3 rounds of playoffs.
I was going to point that out. One of the things about repeating is that the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to repeat again. They're going to lose 19 under 500. 19 times in a row they'd be under 500.
Hart hits it out to left center. Long run for Pagan, and he gets there. Nice play by Pagan, using his speed to make the running grab. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for R.A. Dickey. Nicely done by Pagan. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. Still 2-0 Brewers. Take a Dunkin' Donuts coffee break. Remember to get dunked. Go to getdunked.com. Fans up and stretching, up and singing. This is right at the point yesterday where the Mets offense got rolling after 6 innings of stagnation. So the fans hoping a similar late inning explosion is in the offing. They said that rain was in the forecast. It has rained elsewhere around the metropolitan area today, but not here. It's been a really nice day.
And a nice crowd for a beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Well, the home games are dwindling down to a precious few.
Hey, the fans have been coming out. I've been impressed. And they're enjoying it, too. So, not enjoying the losses, but they're certainly enjoying their day at the ballpark. And those kids will be hitting the books soon.
Oh, don't tell them that. Come on. That's the last thing they want to hear.
Their day first. No, come on now.
I mean, what was the worst day of the year, right? It was the day before the day you went back to school because it suddenly struck you that the summer was over.
Absolutely. What was the best day of the year? The last day of school.
Of course. I knew that about you. David Wright leads off for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th. David has struck out and hit a sharp liner to first base. 0 for 2. The Mets have had just 3 hits over the first 6 innings against Gallardo. Yesterday they had only 4 hits over the first 6 innings against Randy Wolf, and then scored 5 in the 7th and 3 in the 8th. It has certainly been the case for this Mets team for most of this year that when things have looked the bleakest, they have played the best. And the stretch now where they've lost 14 of 19 and their postseason hopes are gone. This would be one of those bleak times when they could sure use a comeback win. And the curveball sits high to right. It's 3-1.
You know, David Wright's got one of the great swings in baseball. He almost won the home run hitting contest in an all-star game. He finished 2nd. He's got a beautiful swing, but he doesn't give himself a chance.
He bloops one, and it falls into right center for a base hit. Well, David Wright, aboard for the first time today, has the Mets' 4th hit.
Comes inside, and David muscles it into right center. There's that toe tap, I should say.
And good balance all the way through, and a good straight line down to the front foot. His swing is excellent. It's just isn't long enough. He should get a longer bat. Let's put it like that.
So that gets Lucas Duda to the plate. It's the tying run. Lucas has had a rough day so far against Gallardo. Up twice, struck out both times.
You know, the longest bat ever used in the major leagues was Hal Simmons.
Duda hits one deep to right. Back goes Hart, back near the wall, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda ties the game with a 2-run homer. Number 6 for Duda, and it's 2-2.
Well, these are the things you'd like to see in a young player, Ralph. Just eating up his first 2 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, gets a hanging curveball, and loses it.
Really a good swing, and he has the power to be an outstanding home run hitter.
And we've seen it more and more over the last few weeks. A sense of timing, too. He's had home runs at important moments.
They have all been clutch home runs. There's no doubt about that.
Jason Bay drives one deep to left. Back goes Braun near the wall. It's off the fence. Bay hustling to second. Braun's throw coming in, and Bay is safe for the 2-base hit. Well, but for the Great Wall of Flushing, the Mets would have had back-to-back home runs, but Bay settles for his 11th double of the year.
Fastball up and in, Ralph. Too much plate. Just another 2 feet. It's a home run.
That really was a well-struck ball, and a home run in just about every ballpark in the game of baseball in the major leagues.
So the go-ahead run at second with nobody out, and here come the Mets again in the 7th inning.
Well,
about 14 feet up on that 16-foot fence. So now Josh Tolley, who had a base hit, stroke past the third baseman McGee his last time up. So the Mets had 3 hits in the first 6 innings, 3 for 3 to start the 7th. And Tolley chases a pitch down for ball 1. So Troy Hawkins getting up quickly in the Milwaukee bullpen. They do not have a left-hander in that Milwaukee pen, but Hawkins is a right-hander who's very tough against left-hand hitters. So the Mets have struck quickly against Gallardo. And Tolley pushing a bunt, and the runner will have to hold at second. That bunt was in the air too long, so Bay couldn't chance it, and he has to hold.
Well, that's really a give-up play right there, although I'm sure that Tolley thinks that if he'd gotten that bunt down better than that, it would have moved the runner over to third where they could pick up an insurance run. but when you're down to the bottom of the batting order and the bench isn't that strong, you got to think about driving in the run more than bunting it and getting the runner over to third.
And Acosta up in the Mets bullpen, and I wonder whether Tolle was bunting on his own or whether that came from the dugout.
I have to believe it was on their own.
I got to believe that also.
Jason Pridey takes a strike. Pridey is at a soft liner to short and struck out 0 for 2. Each team now with 2 runs and 6 hits. A bloop single by Wright, a 2-run homer by Duda tying the game, and now Bay the go-ahead run at second with 1 out.
One thing about the Mets, they've always been very tough in the latter part of the game.
Popped up right in the middle of the infield, and the second baseman Hairston calling. 2 out.
Boy, we've seen a second baseman drop a pop-up with one hand before, haven't we? That was very loose.
Well, Hairston had a rough day playing center field yesterday.
I'll tell you what, guys that aren't great fielders, you think that they wouldn't take any chances. You see Willie Harris in the on-deck circle.
Harris will bat for Dickey if Tejada can keep the inning going.
Boy, you think Dickey doesn't want a base hit right here, make him the pitcher of record?
Well, the one thing about it, he's going to lose.
You have to think, though, that if Tejada makes it out, that Dickey goes back to the mound for the 8th. Tejada's 0 for 2 today. Bounced into a double play his last time up. When the day began, in the Mets lineup today, the highest on base percentage among the 9 players belonged to Ruben Tejada. 364 on base percentage coming into the day. So he has really helped himself over the last couple of weeks, filling in for Reyes. Now trying to pick up the lead run from second base with 2 out. And Gallardo falls behind him 2-0.
He has a 5-game winning streak going right now.
Gallardo about to throw his 90th pitch of the day, so he has not expended a lot of energy. And now they're going to walk Tejada intentionally and bring up Willie Harris. And I guess this is as much as anything forcing Terry Collins' hand, because Ron Renicky knows that if Harris' spot doesn't come up, that the Mets will just leave Dickey in the game. So this forces Terry Collins to make a decision whether to take Dickey out.
Very interesting decision to make now.
I think you got to go for the win, Ralph.
And that's what Terry's going to do
in the game. Yeah.
Yep. You got to go for it.
So now, if you're Renicky, do you leave Gallardo in, or you bring in Hawkins, who's your specialist at getting left-hand hitters out? And it appears they're going to stay with Gallardo.
Well, in the old days, it was always the precedent of keeping the starting pitcher in the game and giving him a chance to win the game when you had these situations. But that has changed considerably with a new theory about limiting the pitches of starting pitching.
By the way, that intentional walk to Tejada is the first walk for either side this afternoon. That's Dickey's line for the day, and his only chance to win is if the Mets get a run right now. So another quality start for Dickey, his 5th in a row. The first 4 resulted in 3 losses and a no decision. So here is Harris, who has struggled as a pinch hitter this year. Just 8 hits and 45 at bats.
Got a red hot Pagan in the on deck circle that has 2 hits in the ball game.
Harris appeared as a pinch hitter in yesterday's game, hit a sacrifice fly to drive in a run. 2 on and 2 out, 2 runs in here in the 7th. 1-0 to Harris, and he takes it below the knees, 2-0.
Another good performance by R.A. Dickey.
Harris takes a rip, and it's 2-1. Well, he has 2 hits and 7 career at bats against Gallardo. Lucas Duda with the home run to tie the game here in the 7th. Bay followed with a double, but he's still at second now with 2 out. And that's off the plate. And now Gallardo behind 3-1.
Right here now, real, as they say in the new lexicon of baseball vocabulary, a hitter's count.
Three and one to Willie Harris. And he gets under one to right field. Hart shading his eyes. And stays with it to end the inning. The Mets tie the game for R.A. Dickey, but can't get him over the top. Well, Ralph, thanks very much. Tremendous job today.
All right, thank you, Gary. Thank you very much also. And Keith, good to work with you again.
Always, Ralph.
Lucas Duda making the home run hitter Ralph Kiner proud with a 2-run shot to get the Mets even. Without free score.
Well, new pitcher Manny Acosta, 29th game yesterday, came in, kind of gave up a couple C&I dogs in relief of Isringhausen.
He'll come in to face Nyjer Morgan, Ryan Braun, and Prince Fielder in the top of the 8th. Morgan 0 for 3 against Dickey with a couple of strikeouts. Happy to see somebody else in the game, and he takes high from Acosta, ball 1. Frankie Rodriguez getting up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Yesterday, K-Rod made his return to Citi Field. It was not a happy one. He gave up 3 runs, but he wound up the winning pitcher. It's one of those vulture victories where you have a terrible day and you still get a win.
Yep.
There is the actual line score. As opposed to the one we showed before. It is the top of the 8th. Here's the 2-0 to Morgan. And this is low and inside 3-0. Acosta's gotten a lot of work lately.
Well, I like Acosta's stuff. I think he's more suited for middle relief than late in ball games.
Well, today, before the game, Terry Collins said if he had a save opportunity, it would be Bobby Parnell. Something the Mets have been working toward now for the last couple of weeks since the trade of K-Rod. There's a strike 3-2. Isringhausen had been serving as the closer and got the chance yesterday, but it appears the changing of the guard is beginning today. So Acosta working in the 8th with Parnell on tap for the 9th.
Who is throwing that shutout for Atlanta in the
That's
6th?
Tim Hudson.
Oh, he's gotten hot, hasn't he?
He has. Remember the Mets beat him back-to-back starts earlier in the year. Here's a 3-2 to Morgan, and he pops him foul. 1-0 Atlanta in the 6th. Trying to sweep that series from the Diamondbacks, who had been very hot going into the series. By the way, the Giants had that 3-0 lead in Houston. That's gone. 4-3 Astros in the fourth. Dan Runzler started that game for San Francisco, so they're beat up in a lot of areas, including their starting pitcher. With Jonathan Sanchez out, joining Zito on the sidelines. 2 high, ball 4, and Morgan is on with a leadoff walk. So the first Met walk of the game comes leading off in the 8th inning after Dickey went 7 without walking a batter.
And not the guy you want to walk. And got to believe Burdack has been up, although he's not throwing right now.
Yesterday, after Acosta came in with the bases loaded and nobody out, he got Braun to pop up to shallow right with the runners holding, and then Terry left him in to face Fielder when he had Burdack available in the bullpen. I remember the day before, Burdack had thrown that inside pitch to Fielder, and that had led to a little bit of a misunderstanding as Fielder ran to first and was talking to himself, and Burdack thought he was talking to him, and the bench is cleared, and not a whole lot happened. But in the wake of that, Acosta stayed in to face Fielder yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see what transpires in this inning, whether Burdack will get the assignment when Fielder comes up. First, Ryan Braun, though, he singled, stole a base, and scored a run in the 6th. 1 for 3 on the day. And breaking ball for a strike. Morgan is a fast runner, but not an accomplished base stealer. He has 7 steals in 10 tries this year.
Well, this is an interesting battle right here. You got Acosta. I want to see Braun's approach here, taking the first pitch. Braun's been swinging a very, very good bat.
And Acosta gets ahead of him, 0-2 with a couple of off-speed breaking balls. There's Fielder waiting on deck.
Spinker.
Now the 0-2 to Braun, and he hits it to the right side through for a base hit.
How about that?
Morgan will go first to third. Now Braun reaching for a pitch off the plate and just poked it through the hole, and the Brewers have it set up first and third and nobody out.
Well, outside again, wanted it in, and the fastball's on the outside corner, and Braun completely 0-2, set up to protect the plate. Where's he most vulnerable that way? Inside. Fastball in the other corner. That's beautiful hitting.
Well, Acosta the last 2 days has given up 3 hits, and they've all been of the soft variety through the right side. Prince Fielder, who had the one that tied the game yesterday, is coming up, and this time Terry Collins is going to bring in Burdack to face him. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCS. Get the Huawei M835 Android smartphone for just $29. We'll be right back. Friday night.
Well, you can see only 30 1/3 innings pitched in 55 games. He is a left-handed specialist, and he's got his work cut out for him. Fielder hitting .295 against lefties this year with 6 home runs and 139 at-bats, and he has red hot. So this is a tall order right here for
Drove in his
Mr.
97th run of the year in the 6th inning with a base hit up the middle. 13 of those RBIs have come against the Mets in just 6 games. First and third and nobody out. The Mets will play their infield halfway at second and short. And Burdack ready to go. And he misses away to Fielder for ball 1. Fielder 3 for 13 against Burdack, including a home run. And there were no hard feelings on either side from that little confrontation on Friday night. Simply a misunderstanding all the way around. There's a good slider by Burdack, 1-1.
You see, a little diplomacy always works. You don't have to go to war.
It's got to lower the testosterone level. Fielder trying to get the lead run in from third with nobody out. And he hits it sharply. Double play ball. The Mets will go for the double play, but Turner throws it past Tejada. And not only does the run score, but the Mets don't get an out. Well, they turned down the chance to come home in order to get a couple of outs and limit the damage, but they do neither.
Taylor made double play and on one knee and just didn't turn his body enough, and you forced the throw inside. And
he's got to catch that ball, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. It wasn't that bad a throw, was it not? With a slow runner, you can take it nice and easy.
Well, they've charged the error on Turner, although it certainly could have gone either way. It's an RBI for Fielder because you can't assume the double play. His second RBI of the game. 3-2 Milwaukee. The Brewers poised for more. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCS. Get the Huawei M835 Android smartphone for just $29. Here comes Izzy. It's the worst. Yesterday comes back in here in the 8th inning into a mess.
Well, first and second, nobody out, and yet the worst performance of the year for Jason. We don't want to beat him over the head with that. He's been very, very good this year since taking over that role when K-Rod was traded.
He comes in to face Casey McGee, who homered back in the 4th inning for the first run of this game. Braun at second, Fielder at first, and nobody out. A run is in here in the 8th. The Brewers have regained the lead 3-2. And a fastball strike. The run is charged to Acosta. He's now on the hook in this game. He walked Nyjer Morgan leading off the inning that set the stage for the tumble down of events since then. Braun followed with a single poke through the right side, and then Fielder with the ground ball that Turner threw away. Although you have to at least give half of that error to Tejada for not catching that throw from Turner.
Well, Tejada's got to come to the bag, and he sees the timing of the play, when Turner's going to catch the ball, when he's going to throw in time, so he's right over the bag.
There goes the runner from second. The throw by Tolley is high, and Wright does well to keep Braun from scoring. So Braun, running on his own, steals his second base of the game, his 26th of the year.
And a great time to steal a base. That's smart baseball. And the double play still in order. The Mets are going to play it back. Even David Wright is playing back. McGee doesn't run that well. I agree. That's just real smart time to steal.
Now the Mets will bring Turner and Tejada in. Already down 3-2. 1-1 to McGee is on the corner for a strike. 1-2.
So I guess Terry feels that they cannot give up another run, particularly with this depleted lineup the Mets are running out there.
Well, and you've got K-Rod in the 8th trying to bounce back from his rough outing yesterday, and then Axford has been practically perfect for the 9th.
I would have no issue with them playing the middle infielders back here.
The Mets have the top of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 8th.
Everything just kind of imploding. This whole series has been, and whenever the Mets strike back, the Brewers strike right back.
Swing and a miss, and Isringhausen gets him with a high fastball. So McGee is struck out for the first out of the inning.
No, up the ladder. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be down and away.
So now you can drop the infield back for the double play.
Yep.
So that's a huge strikeout for Isringhausen, and McGee knows that. Here's Betancourt, who's 0 for 3 in this game. Grounded out to short, flied out twice. So Braun's still a third and fielder at first, so the double play in order for Isringhausen to try and get the Mets through this inning with just the 1-run scoring.
And the free swinging Betancourt, but it's a breaking ball first pitch. We'll see.
He didn't think Fielder was going anywhere, did he?
No, I don't believe so.
Then why would you run that play?
I don't understand.
Fielder has not stolen a base this year. He's attempted once. And they do it again.
How about that?
And now totally out for a conversation. I mean, there are certain times with aggressive base runners at first base where that play makes a lot of sense, and every once in a while you can get somebody going on first movement. But I don't think Prince Fielder is in that category. Bless you.
Yes. Very good, Gare.
Popped up. Who's going to take it? David Wright calling, and called off by Tejada. 2 out. So another big out for Isringhausen. He strikes out McGee, gets Betancourt to pop up on the first pitch, and now he's got a chance to get through this inning with the Mets within a run. And Jerry Hairston Jr., the batter. Hairston's been hit by a pitch, singled to center field, and flied out. 1 for 2. So Isringhausen looking to bounce back from a very difficult outing yesterday. Faced 4 batters, walked 3, and gave up a hit. Wound up the losing pitcher, charged with 4 runs in 0 innings. Coming in here with a run already home. He inherited a first and second nobody out situation. He's gotten the first 2, and now Hairston. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Yesterday, Jerry and Scott both played in the same game. Jerry, the older brother. It was the 10th time they had played in the same game against one another, and Scott, despite the loss yesterday, has won 7 of the 10. Scott has not been in the game today. Hit sharply right, can't get it, base hit. And Braun comes in to score the insurance run for Milwaukee. A hot shot just beyond the reach of David Wright. Jerry Hairston with an RBI single, and it's 4-2 Milwaukee.
Well, just like his brother, he is a high fastball hitter. And Braun and Fielder right in the middle of the inning. That was supposed to be a slider away and curveball away, hung it inside. But it's upstairs, and that's where Hairston likes it. And that closes the book on Acosta.
Both runs charged to Acosta. One of them will be unearned. Now Jonathan Lucroy is 1 for 3 on the day. Mark Kotze has come out on deck to pinch hit for the Brewers. Fielder at second, Hairston at first with 2 out. 2 runs are home for Milwaukee here in the 8th after the Mets tied it in the bottom of the 7th. Mets got a 2-run homer from Duda to get even. They had a chance to go in front. They had Bay at second and nobody out and couldn't get him around. 2-0 now to Lucroy. So the Mets bullpen continues to struggle. Coming into the day in the month of August, the Mets bullpen had a 5.96 ERA, the worst in the majors. And it's gotten no better today.
It's a happy starting pitcher right there, Mr. Gallardo.
Well, Gallardo is now in line for his 14th win of the year. After giving up the lead in the bottom of the inning, his team came right back for him. And this has been the Brewers' pattern. You look at their record in 1- and 2-run games this year, it is extraordinary. They are 41-20 in games decided by 2 runs or less. It tells you their bullpen's been solid and they've been winning a lot of games late. Low and away to Lucroy, and it's 3-1. This inning began with the unlikely walk of Nyjer Morgan. Only the 9th walk that Morgan has drawn all year, and Acosta walked him in front of the big guys. And it has cost the Mets here in the 8th inning. Three and 2 to Lucroy. Now the runners get set to go. Fielder at second, Hairston at first. And Lucroy fouls it off. They'll do it again. By the way, R.A. Dickey today, 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 5th straight quality start, all 5 without a victory. It's only the 3rd time in Mets history a Met starter has had 5 straight quality starts without a win. Jerry Koosman in 1978, Chris Benson in 2005, and now R.A. Dickey joins that luckless crowd. Again, the 3-2 to Lucroy, and he struck him out with a fastball. So Isringhausen strikes out a pair, but the Brewers regain the lead. On what should have been a double play, the Mets got none out. That brought in the lead run, and Hairston's base hit makes it 4-2 Milwaukee. second straight day after a rough outing yesterday.
Well, Frankie's career against the Mets, it would be his second consecutive blown save against the Mets. He blew one, if you recall, Garrett, back on June 18th, 2008 at Shea when he was with the Angels. And believe it or not, look at there's tired young man. And Mom. I sympathize with you, Mom.
Must have been a late night.
After a long day.
Well, Angel Pagano hit a go-ahead home run against Frankie Rodriguez in the game yesterday. Will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th today. Angel is 2 for 3, a single and a double. Turner and Wright to follow. Mets tied the game on Duda's home run in the 7th. Brewers go back in front of the 8th. Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen, hoping to have a save opportunity now that that job seems to belong to him. Angel Pagan, show and bunt, takes ball 1. Giovanni Gallardo now stands to be the winning pitcher. 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, an intentional walk, and 6 strikeouts. And that young man has got his Let's Go Mets on.
Oh, good pitch.
Well, yesterday it was a changeup in the middle of the plate that Pagan hit up into the Pepsi porch to give the Mets an exciting but short-lived lead.
Well, he was made sure with that one that he wasn't going to leave it over the middle of the plate. That hit the outside corner.
In the game yesterday, K-Rod retired the first 2 batters, got ahead 0-2 on Ruben Tejada, lost Tejada to a walk, then told he hit the double off Hairston's glove in center field, and Pagan took him deep.
Hit sharply off K-Rod. He runs it down, makes the backhand flip in time.
And now the question is, where did it hit him?
Seems to be all right. Bullet on a curve.
And of course, he follows through to the first base side. He was in good fielding position. It probably never would have hit him. He might have gotten an old glove.
Nice backhand shovel pass.
Like an option quarterback. 1 out and nobody on. Here's Justin Turner, who's 0 for 3. Struck out and grounded out twice against Gallardo. And he takes a strike. Trying to get a board for Wright and Duda behind him. That's tied it on a bloop and a blast in the 7th. They'd love to do the same here in the 8th. And the breaking ball off the plate from Rodriguez, 1-1. Frankie has his old number back. Of course, he wore 57 with the Angels. Had to switch to 75 as a Met because Johan Santana had his number. Now he's back to the Heinz 57.
That was my number they gave me my first year when I was invited to big league camp, and I was very happy to have it.
At least you had a 7.
I had my name on my back too. First time.
Down to third, and McGee comes in to grab the easy hop. And there are 2 out. Don't let your summer fun get washed out by wicked weather. Stay out of trouble with Mr. G's forecast. Weeknights on the Pix 11 News at 10. Now David Wright will bat with 2 out and nobody on. Well, today is the 21st of August, which you wouldn't think would be the end of anybody's season. But our stage manager, Russ Relkin, it's the last day of his season. And he does an extraordinary job making sure that we have everything that we need here in the booth. His right hits went out to center field. And so we wish Russ fair travels through his fall job.
I want to know who his agent is and negotiated this. He's through. We got 26 more to go.
You know, I bet you'll be gunning for that contract next year.
See you, Russ.
Thanks, Russ. But the Mets down 4-2. And Craig Counsell, who today is celebrating his 41st birthday, will pinch hit for the Brewers.
And Isringhausen getting an extra inning of work here.
Counsell started the opening game of the series, went 2 for 3, appeared for defense yesterday. Counsell at age 41 is the second oldest position player in the majors right now. The only older position player is more than 3 years older, and that's Omar Vizquel, who at age 44 is still going strong with the White Sox. The oldest player in baseball right now is Tim Wakefield, who might just pitch forever, as many knuckleballers have. Pedro Beato up in the Mets bullpen as Isringhausen starts the ninth. Izzy faced 4 batters in the 8th, retired 3 of them with a couple of strikeouts, but gave up a run-scoring hit to Jerry Hairston that helped the Brewers stretch their lead. And Counsell takes a fastball for a strike, 1-2. Corey Hart and Niger Morgan to follow for Milwaukee in the 9th. The Brewers trying to win for the 22nd time in their last 25 games. They have been MVPs of August. Bounce foul.
Well, the teams, August is where you separate the men from the boys, and the teams that get hot in August usually ride it all the way to the end.
Well, when August began, the Pittsburgh Pirates were right in the middle of the race in the National League Central. They're now 14.5 out. Just inside 2-2. You saw those scores involving the teams in the East. Phillies now leading 3-2 in Washington and a rain delay in the 6th. Braves up 1-0 over the Diamondbacks in the 7th behind Tim Hudson.
That's that weather that's coming this way, Gary.
Not so fast.
That's one thing you learned when you played in New York, was that if it was raining in Philly, it was on its way here 9 times out of 10.
And what happened the 10th time?
Well, we got lucky.
Lucky so far today. Had that long rain delay here on Friday night. Here's the 2-2, and Counsell fouls it off. Craig Counsell, who earlier this year had an 0 for 45 stretch to tie a major league record.
What time did you get to bed that night, Gary? You got a good ride home.
I was home by 2:15.
I was at
2:30.
I was in bed at 2:30, but I tossed and turned till 3. It's the last time I saw the clock. I was very grateful that Fox had the game yesterday. Really appreciate Bill Webb picking it up for us, our director.
Oh, he got to shoot that fire scene from across the street.
I had an hour-and-a-half nap yesterday, and I was reading the paper, and next thing I know, it was like an hour-and-a-half later. I was in a coma.
Counsell trying to turn on one, hits it foul.
And I went to bed last night at 10:30. I was just so tired. So I had a good night's sleep, refreshed, ready to go.
And it's been reflected in your commentary today.
Oh, really?
You've been right on top of your game.
Some might disagree.
Some always will. 10th pitch of the at-bat coming to Counsell. And he flares one into shallow right. That's going to fall in for a hit. Counsell picking up base hits in this series where they were tough to come by a few weeks ago. And he gets the better of Isringhausen. And that's going to be it for Izzy as Terry Collins heads out to the mound. He's got Beato ready in the bullpen.
He's going to have a conversation.
Leave him in. How about that?
I think that you're right. Nope, there's Beato. He's coming.
Well, he thinks he's coming. And now the sign goes out. And Beato will come into the game. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCS. Get the Huawei M835 Android smartphone for just $29. We'll be right back. values in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealers today. By Subway, where winners eat. By the Volkswagen Autobahn for All event. Hurry in before the deals really hurry out. By Sports Authority for all things sporting good. By Fiat, introducing the 2012 Fiat 500. Visit fiatusa.com to find a studio near you. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Pedro Beato comes in to face Corey Hart with a man on first and nobody out in the top of the ninth. And a breaking ball misses for ball one.
Well, Beato, a couple bumps in the road here since coming back from that injury. Hasn't been as effective, seen his ERA rise. I still think that he is a big learning year for him.
Had a good day yesterday, an inning and a third. Did not give up a hit. Got bailed out on a great play by Angel Pagan to rob Jerry Hairston in yesterday's game. Corey Hart 1 for 4 today, had an infield hit in the second. He had a fine play made against him by Pagan, going deep in the gap in left center in the seventh. Counsell at first and nobody out. The Brewers now with 9 hits for the afternoon. Milwaukee led this game 2-0. Duda tied it with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the seventh, but the Brewers came right back with 2 in the eighth. Both runs charged to Manny Acosta, who's on the hook in this game. It just missed. 2-1. Nyjer Morgan waiting on deck. Mets have now used 5 pitchers this afternoon. R.A. Dickey, a very good 7 today. Allowed 2 runs and 6 hits. Another no decision for him. 2-2 now to Hart. John Axford on your right, LaTroy Hawkins on your left. Axford, I'm sure if it's a save situation. Hawkins, if the Brewers expand this lead. Well, a lot of throws to first for a 41-year-old guy.
Yes. That's still 1-0 in the top of the 8th. Atlanta over Arizona, and that Detroit game's a barn burner. Detroit-Cleveland.
Line in the left, a base hit for Hart. Counsell to second. He turns and heads for third. Bay's throw will go to second base. And the Brewers, looking for more, have first and third and nobody out. And they just keep on chugging. And this Met bullpen just keeps on struggling.
High breaking ball hung.
Right now, Terry Collins has got to feel as though there's not one guy in that bullpen who he can go to and have some confidence.
He's got to bring the infield in, I gather. He brought it in last time in this situation.
Well, down by 2 runs in the ninth. Do you have a choice?
I think you have absolutely no choice.
And also you got Morgan at the plate, who's tough to double up.
Yep. It doesn't matter. You can't give up another run.
Morgan's 0 for 3 and a walk.
So these are the at-bats I used to relish, where you can ice the game. In a 7th inning on, tight ball game, you can throw that harpoon, and there goes the great white whale. It's over.
One harpoon and you take care of the whale. That's it? Gone?
What is that? Is that an analogy or a metaphor? What is that, Gary?
I don't know, but that's a very high ERA for the Mets bullpen. Infield in, 0-1 to Morgan, and a safety squeeze gets the bunt down. Duda doesn't throw home, instead goes to first with it, and Counsell scores. Well, Counsell was not coming on a suicide squeeze. He waited until the bunt was down, and Counsell scores to make it 5-2.
I think that this was a wise play right here. A sneak attack, but the first baseman's got to hold the runner on, make him field it. And Counsell very alertly read it, and Duda had no play at the plate. That's just a veteran base runner right there. He's always been a smart player. He broke. Big run. Interesting call by Mr. Renicky, the manager, Ron Renicky.
So now Hart at second, 1 out of the inning, and Ryan Braun takes a strike.
Killed 2 birds with 1 stone. You also advanced the runner into second scoring position.
Seen that play more and more this year. Teams shying away from the suicide squeeze and going with more of the safety squeeze. It's a play that you didn't see very much for, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years.
Well, in that situation right there, you're going to have second and third. If it's a bunt that Counsell can't score on, you're going to have second and third, 1 out, and it's like a sacrifice. So you got a veteran. I think the Renicky right there, because he had Counsell at third base, put the play on, knew he had a savvy base runner in Counsell.
Braun is 2 for 4 on the day. And he lifts one out to right, hit pretty well, chasing Pridey back into the Mo zone. It's over his head. Hart will score easily. Braun to second with his 3rd hit of the day, a run-scoring double, and now it's 6-2 Milwaukee. 29th double of the year for Braun.
Well, it's a fly ball here, and I got to believe it's got to be caught. There's another slider up, and when you play shallow in this ballpark, that's how you get burned. And particularly with a hitter like Braun.
Tell you what, though, the ball explodes off his bat. That was off the end of the bat, and he hit it nearly to the fence and right.
All the more reason you got to play a little deeper. Now look at Hart halfway. No bouncing back and forth. He can walk home.
Now the Mets will intentionally walk Fielder with first base open. So the inning began with Counsell dumping a base hit into right against Isringhausen. Beato has come on, given up a hit to Hart. The squeeze by Morgan, and now a double to Braun, and now he walks Fielder intentionally. So it's just one thing after another for the Mets bullpen after 7 strong innings by Dickey. And there's ball 4 to Fielder, so he'll go to first base. And Beato will take on Casey McGee. And Dan Warthen will head to the mound for a conversation before he does. McGee got the scoring started for the Brewers today with a home run off Dickey in the 4th. 1 for 4 on the afternoon. And now DJ Carrasco begins to loosen the Mets bullpen as Beato struggles. And we were talking about the disparity between the Brewers' home and road records. Well, through the end of July, they were 21-35 on the road. In August, 7-1, and about to go to 8-1, unless the Mets have a big rally in them in the bottom of the ninth.
It all adds up, Gary, to an 8.5 game lead in the Central.
But I think most importantly, proving to themselves that they can win consistently on the road as they push toward postseason is going to be very important for this team. Here's McGee with 2 aboard and 1 out. I mean, in all probability, they'll have home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs, but if they get as far as the League Championship Series, they probably will not. And at some point, you're going to have to win some road games.
Well, then you're saying that matchup would be in Philadelphia.
Right. And if you're going to face the quality of pitching that the Phillies will throw out there in October in Philadelphia, you better have your A game going. Beato struggling mightily behind on McGee 2-0. And Toley got crossed up. Catches it anyway, 2-1. And McGee takes it wide, and it's 3-1. You know, Beato worked an inning and a third yesterday. We saw him throwing in the bullpen in the third inning today, and now working in the ninth inning this afternoon. There's a good fastball for a strike, 3-2. Been all this talk the last couple of weeks about the possibility of Beato being a starter in the future, something that he has tried to quash. He says, look, I'm much more comfortable as a relief pitcher. (3-2) and first and check at second, where Braun has already stolen third base today.
I think 6-2, he's not going to be doing that unless both runners are going to be moving, and I don't think they're going to take a chance on that.
(3-2) to McGee, and he lifts one to right field, and Pridey has it lined up. Braun tags at second. He'll go over to third, and that's the second out.
More, I think.
Now Yuniesky Betancourt, who's 0 for 4. Betancourt just 2 hits in his last 28 at bats, but one of those was a home run yesterday against Chris Capuano. And he takes up an in from Beato for ball 1. Well, the Brewers yesterday scored 4 in the ninth to pull it out. Today, 2 in the eighth and 2 in the ninth to take a 4-run lead. Out to center field, and Pagan comes in. Side retired, but not before the Brewers tack on a pair. 6-2 Milwaukee as we go to the bottom of the ninth. With a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th. The video recap brought to you by HP. Everybody on. Doing his 6th home run of the season. He'll lead off in the last of the 9th against LaTroy Hawkins.
Well, the veteran Hawkins came up with the Cubbies. Was a hard thrower back in his day. Had a good couple years with the Cubs, and then all of a sudden ran into hard times and pitched with Milwaukee, Arizona, I believe. Now the Brew Crew.
Hawkins now 38 years old, and he'll try and finish things off here in the last of the 9th. Brewers adding 2 in the top of the inning, creating a non-save situation. The Brewers are trying to do something they've never done before since they moved to the National League. in 1998. The Brewers have never swept a 3-game series from the Mets in New York. The last time they swept the Mets anywhere was in 2001. News doesn't stop on the weekend. Stay on top of what's going on in the world with Jim Watkins and the Pix 11 News tonight at 6 and 10 on Pix 11. It'll be Duda, Bay, and Tolle for the Mets in the last of the ninth. Duda 1 for 3 on the day. And he takes a strike from Hawkins. He was trying to finish it off for Giovanni Gallardo, who went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs, 6 hits. In line for his 14th win. Frankie Rodriguez pitched a 1-2 3/8. 2 different games for the Mets pitching staff today. The 7 fine innings thrown by Dickey, and the last 2 innings thrown by the Mets bullpen. How about this? In the 7 innings that Dickey worked, he threw 16 balls. In the 2 innings that the Mets bullpen worked, 23 balls. That tells you a story right there.
Yep.
And so it has gone for that beleaguered bullpen. One and 2 to Duda, and he fouls it away. Game can turn so quickly. Duda hit the 2-run homer off Gallardo in the 7th. Jason Bay followed with a double high off the fence in left field. Didn't miss being a go-ahead home run by much. Mets had nobody out in the go-ahead run at second, but they were unable to move Bay. And then the next half inning, the Brewers put up a pair against the Mets bullpen, and they have not looked back. Now the 1-2 from Hawkins, and it's too high. Strike 3 called. Duda down looking to start the bottom of the ninth. Third time Duda's been struck out today. So 1 out and nobody on. Jason Bay coming up. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's another edition of Smash Cuts. Over on SNY, we've got more baseball for you. Lincoln postgame live. Now Jason Bay, and he takes a strike from Hawkins. Bay is 1 for 3 today. Drilled one high off the Great Wall of Flushing in the 7th inning. That was the Mets' last hit. And a strike called from Hawkins, 0-2. A 3 for 9 with a home run against LaTroy Hawkins. Now trying to fight out of a hole. And he pops one up, shallow right. In comes Corey Hart. 2 down. So 5 up and 5 down for the Brewers bullpen. And the Mets are down to their final out with Josh Tolle coming up. Tolle is 1 for 3, had a base hit through the third baseman McGee in the 5th inning. Then after Bay doubled leading off in the 7th, Tolle, perhaps on his own, tried to bunt Bay over, but bunted a ball that stayed in the air too long, and Bay was unable to move. Friday then popped up, and after an intentional walk, Willie Harris flied out, and the Mets had let an opportunity get away. Now the 0-2 to Tolle, and it's just inside. A ball and 2 strikes. The Mets are on the verge of falling 6 games under 500. The last time the Mets were 6 games under 500 was May the 4th when they were 12-18. This last stretch has undone a lot of the good that the Mets did the first 4 months of the season. Tolle with the emergency hack fouls it off. Now Hawkins with the 1-2, and the breaking ball down. 2-2 to Tolle. Mets are in Philadelphia tomorrow night, facing Cliff Lee and the Phillies. John Neese will open the series for New York. And Tolle stays alive. The game in Atlanta's gone to the 9th inning. Braves 1, Diamondbacks nothing. But the Diamondbacks have first and third and 1 out. Trying to avoid their 5th straight loss. 2-2, and it's low inside and a full count to Tolle. So Hawkins trying to put on the finishing touches. That's Kimbrel pitching the 9th inning for the Braves. He hasn't given up a run in a month and a half. Now the 3-2, and it's slapped to third. McGee has got it. And the ball game is over, and the Milwaukee Brewers, for the first time ever, have swept a 3-game series from the Mets in New York as they hand the Mets their 15th loss in their last 20 games. 2 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, enough to beat the Mets on this day. 6-2 the final.
Well, too much. Gallardo, who goes 14-8, went 7 strong innings. Duda right there, the only bright spot offensively for the Mets, who collected 6 hits as a team, only left 4 men on base. Duda, his 2-run shot in the bottom of the 7th, tied the ball game, his 6th of the year. But the Brewers just come in here red hot and did what they had to do. And they are in the driver's seat as far as the National League Central is concerned.
So the Brewers continue to roll. The winning box score brought to you by Subway. Subway, where winners eat. The Brewers have won 22 of their last 25. And today they got an early home run from Casey McGee. They got a couple of RBIs from Prince Fielder, who wound up driving in 14 runs against the Mets in just 6 games this season. 2 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th. Win it for the Brewers as they sweep the series from New York. There is your game summary. Giovanni Gallardo goes to 14-8 with the win. Manny Acosta suffers the loss in relief of R.A. Dickey, who gets another no decision. More from Citi Field coming right up.